Okay. Here comes the crowd. I can see Don Kilpatrick's an attendee. Don, prove that you're the real Don.
How are you guys doing?
Oh, man. How's it going?
Good, Don. Well, Timmy, you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, let's kick it off. Hi, everybody. This is John. I'm here with Timmy, my business partner who makes these events happen. They would not without him. So that's the easiest way to explain it. I'm also here with Audrey Benjaminsen, Ashley Lovett, Gil Ashby, Chris Payne, George Pratt, and Bill Koeb. They're all in the room with us. I think I got everybody. And Don Kilpatrick, excuse me, I almost missed Don. People are sneaking in, and I can't see the participants right now. This event is our Thursday night drawing. It's brought to you by the Visual Arts Passage. And the Passage is just finishing its last week of this semester, but not to disappoint, we got another one coming up just in a few weeks. Starting July 18th, our next classes get rolling. We have classes we have an illustration program and we have a concept design program. Fabulous instructors. Many of our instructors come through this drawing class, and if you get a chance to look at the website, you'll see a bunch of award-winning artists in both programs. This is the concept design program. And I just want to, I'm always going to do this because I'm so proud of this. The illustration isolation, the reason we're here, we started to, we did a big pivot into February, made some commitments, and we thought, this would be a great thing to do for our audience and our community, is to do a series of lectures and demonstrations. I'm proud to say that the isolation, the lectures and demos that we've done, we've raised several $1,000s. We've had just a phenomenal turnout. The artists that have been involved, I kicked it off. I did the first one. And then George came in and one-upped me and did two beautiful pieces. And then John Foster and Sterling Hundley, the great Chris Payne. He also did two pieces in an afternoon. Audrey Benjaminsen, Bill Koeb, Ray Bonilla, and just as you remember, Timmy, I wanted to remind you, Ray will be joining us for drawing next week, which I'm very excited about. Ashley Lovett and Dale Stefanos. All of these things are recorded. They're on our site. You can go back and watch them. They're really good educationally, and they represent a lot of fun, a lot of great information, and all of it went for a really good cause. Very proud of it. So Thursday night drawing, I'm going to click through these real quickly. The people that have been doing this from the beginning, and I want the audience to know that everybody comes in here and volunteers their time and helps us put all this together. And this is I think it's great educationally for people that are trying to better their drawing, but it's also a place to get away and just draw. And so George Pratt, Chris Payne, Bill Koeb, more Bill Koeb, Audrey, Don Kilpatrick, Dale Stefanos, Brent Watkinson, myself, John Foster, George Pratt, and Chris Payne, Ashley Lovett, and then Gil Ashby. And we have a kind of a fun, I just kind of want to give you a reminder of what's been done and who's drawing with you and who's been helping us. And I want to thank everybody for consistently doing it. We have a kind of a fun thing that we're going to talk about a little bit. Tonight is our last night that we're going to do this. We've been using the Frank Schoonover reference file, and we're going to do it one more tonight. Gil has a different reference that he's going to use, but three of the individuals are going to be drawing with Schoonover reference. Frank was a really important American illustrator. He got started in the late 1800s. He went to Drexel University in Delaware. We ran into Howard Pyle. He also ran into Stanley Arthur and Jesse Wilcox Smith and Elizabeth Shippen Green and Viola Oakley, who all fabulous. The three women made up the Red Rose Girls, fabulous illustrators, really important to illustration history. There's a couple of great Frank Schoonover illustrations. That's him standing with Howard Pyle. If you don't know, Howard Pyle was he is considered the father of American illustration. He was an instructor to not only Frank, but into many others. Harvey Dunn, N.C. Wyeth, his school in Chadsford, Pennsylvania, which is the Brandywine. An amazing influence on a whole school of illustrators that, you know, historically, maybe the most important group of illustrators to ever exist. So this is great. I love this. I showed this last week. This was the Ogabaji tribe, American Indians. Frank Schoonover, when he was on an exhibition north, they named him however you pronounce that, Misanaga Nigan, which means in their language, picture making man. And that's probably the best. I would think that would be the best handle, the best nickname for any artist in the world, the picture making man, and truly what he was and what he did. So we have kind of a fun assignment. And as I mentioned, this is the last week we're going to do that. We're going to use the Frank Schoonover reference. And I thought we would kind of offer maybe like a contest, but more just a challenge as an assignment to attendees.
In my assignment, it says,
yeah,
this is not a contest.
Okay. Well, but basically what we're going to do is we've talked about shooting photo reference in here before. And if you didn't see it, I'm going to give you the quick version right now. Here's a couple of shots from students at the Academy taking photo reference of each other. There's a shot of George Pratt helping students take a photo reference of each other. This photograph, notice that really simple singular light source that, you know, it's a $10 light you can buy at Lowe's. It can be very important. You can also do it outside and achieve a similar effect. But what we want you to think about, here's the assignment, and we want you to be able to go out and shoot a clothed figure, and it could be a costume, it could be of a period costume, it could be current, it could be anything. But we want you to use, we talked about a few weeks back, we talked about what short loop light is and what Rembrandt lighting is. We want you to use one of those two lighting scenarios. The proportions can be anything, it can be vertical or horizontal. We just need, and Timmy, you're going to have to help me here of how you want them to submit and where. But next Wednesday by 4 o'clock Pacific time, we'd like you to submit what you shoot. Timmy, do
You
you
got it. Yeah. Everybody, if you go to the photo reference page, which you're going to be on tonight, you'll see that there is a PDF download of this assignment. And so, yeah, download it. You'll see all the details. But what we're going to do is just post it to Instagram and use the right hashtags, everything like that. And it should be fun.
Yeah, and so the last thing I'm going to say is like things to really consider. I mean, really pay attention to what we've been using with the reference, what you've been how you've been, when you've been drawing with us or watching people draw. The reference that that we've used to draw from is phenomenal reference to draw from. It's all shot with a single light source in most cases. Really pay attention to camera point of view, whether it's worm's eye or bird's eye. Avoid extreme lens distortion. Don't get too close to with your camera, especially if you're using an iPhone. Don't get too close to your subject because it will create huge distortion. Pull away, zoom in, and it gets rid of that. Ask yourself, does the light draw and explain the form well? I mean, that's ultimately what we're lighting for interest. And are you creating interesting shapes and shape relationships with the photograph? With the objects in the photograph or the figures in the photograph. Create something you want to draw, most importantly, and make it fun. So just the last thing I was going to share for the assignment is these first two. This is short loop lighting. It is the cast shadow under the nose that makes that loop, is why it's referred to as short loop. It's a really great way, a lighting source that draws the figure really well. The one to the right of that is Rembrandt lighting, and you can all guess where that came from. There's many cases where Rembrandt also used short loop lighting. The difference is this beautiful triangle of light where the shadow, that cast shadow from the nose, has filled in to the core shadow of the side of the face, and it creates this little beautiful triangle. One of the eyes, the eye underneath the light, is usually in shadow, and it's just a really good starting place. This is called butterfly lighting, and the butterfly of the shape of the shadow underneath the nose, it is basically a short loop almost directly overhead. It works very well too. And you're going to find as soon as you start angling a figure and moving the light, head turning that thing, that once you rotate the head, there's going to be a little bit of ambiguity because it's not a straight on shot. But I'm just trying to give you a starting place. Always you can refer to the lighting that we've done in the past, or the reference that we've done in the past as examples, and it should be a really good starting place. So anyway, I hope that all makes some sense. I got one more thing I want to show, and you're going to remember this because Gil is doing I found some reference for Gil and sent it to him. And Gil, interesting enough, this was an illustration he did. I don't know, Gil, you did it 20 years ago, 22,
Yep.
23
94.
years ago. Yeah, beautiful cover. But it's something that you've already drawn this individual before and used used reference similar. So I just wanted you to remember that. And Gil, I thank you for sharing this with me. With all that said, Timmy, I'm ready. We're ready.
Yeah. The only other thing I was going to say, and it's just so we can pressure him and lock him in, is next week Hector Casanova is also joining us.
Oh, thank you for reminding me, Timmy.
Yeah, no, and now and I know he's in the crowd probably, so now he's forced to follow through on it.
That's right.
And Hector is an amazing artist. He's at KCAI. We've had him join us for the Illustration Academy. Highly recommend checking out his work. I'm going to share his Instagram to the chat. Yeah, Hector, we're excited to have you on the panel.
All right.
And the only other thing I'd say is everybody, please be sure to, when you're doing the chat, send it to all panelists and attendees. Don't only send it to all panelists unless it's a complaint. and then do it that way. But no, be sure to message questions, stuff like that, to the whole group. And the first question I want to ask is, everybody, let us know where you're tuning in from tonight.
All right. Timmy, I'm going to stop sharing and then I guess
Cool.
we can
And then it begins.
go to the first drawer, which is Audrey.
Yeah. Hey, Audrey.
Hey, Audrey.
Hi. I found this setting on the camera thing too that allows HD. I tried that out and I think that helped a lot of things too.
It looks great.
Yeah. Hopefully that.
It was like in fuzzy mode before.
Well, it was actually a setting on Zoom, not the Logitech. So it was.
Oh wow.
It was really easy. So I don't
Hey,
know.
everybody on the panel, please check. Cool. Well, we're gonna everybody. I know you can all see all the studios that we're gonna be stopping by tonight, but we're gonna start with Audrey. So I'm gonna go ahead and spotlight her video.
What was the setting, Audrey?
Under the little video icon.
Yeah.
If you click that and go to video settings, it's right underneath choose virtual background video settings.
Yeah.
Hey Bill, hey Bill, if you have trouble, I know how to do it. And I'll text you. We're all set.
I got it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so
Awesome.
that helped. Enable HD. Great. So do I get to choose from either of the two references that I picked?
Yes.
All right.
I believe so. I'm not the rule enforcer.
No, you get to choose from either one.
Everybody in the crowd, if this is your first night joining us, go to visualartspassage.com and you'll see on the top of our page there's a banner that'll send you right to the photo upload. You can also go to Illustration Isolation, the main page where you signed up, and you'll see that it directs you to our photo reference page. And that's where the photos are. Audrey, when you decide, let us know which one you
All right. Let's see. My two are the fancy lady and the guy with the pipe. Trying to just feel my mood today. I'm going to work with watercolor on like 140-pound paper, so not anything too thick. So I'm trying to think of which one might be. I think, let's see. I'm going to challenge myself and go for the hat guy.
Hat guy it is, everybody.
That guy with pipe.
That was my favorite one.
Yeah,
really cool.
I do a lot of fancy ladies, so.
You know who he looks exactly like Cillian Murphy. You know, from Peaky Blinders.
Okay, I know the show, but don't know.
Does anybody agree? I don't know.
Totally
Yeah,
agree.
I agree.
In the eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we're started.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't
It's
mean
on.
to.
Okay, that's okay.
Audrey, are you sad it's the last week of classes?
Yeah, but it's so cool because like there's another one.
Yeah, right.
But I have loved my groups this semester, so I don't like to pick favorites, but they were a really
That's great.
good gang.
It's been pretty amazing to watch. Everybody, if you don't know, Audrey teaches process, skill, and craft with us at Visual Arts Passage. So we see Audrey a lot.
Yes. Hopefully that is a good thing.
Yes, always.
A very good thing.
This guy kind of reminds me of some kind of Tolkien character. There was that guy Tom Bombadil that didn't make it in the film cut. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that, but he's given me some Tom Bombadil vibes.
Tom Bombadil. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, he didn't.
Yeah.
We should have a podcast on connected to this called Timmy Looks Stuff Up.
I was just gonna say, I was like, Audrey, this is basically a podcast.
Behind the documentary.
The only reason it's not a podcast is we're not uploading it to like Stitcher.
Podbay or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
But-
that's
Aw.
funny.
Yeah.
It is
Well,
mostly like people saying names that I don't know, and then
Timmy's like,
looking it
I
up.
want to look that up. Yeah, like
Look that
that could be our hook. Timmy looks stuff up.
He definitely has a Tom Bombadil hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as Zoom allows me to paste images to the chat, that'll be the day that the format really changes. So how are you? As you're approaching this image, like how much do you tend to? I'm trying to think of the right way to ask. Like, depart from the reality of the photo and I guess add your own style.
Well, let's see. I don't want to think too hard about my answer, but it's essentially, since this one's like a dark figure who's kind of hunched over, I'm more trying to think about this the silhouette structure. Whenever I look at any kind of image that I'm interpreting, I'm going to try to think of what's the most useful aspect of the image to focus on. And this one is definitely the gesture of the hunch of, like the, yeah, I suppose you'd call it like a gesture. So that part, as well as the shape. So that's the thing that's going to help me before I would jump in with something like ink or watercolor.
Yeah.
I always try to think of, what is this? I ask myself, what is this for? I don't want to get too existential,
Right.
but like when I'm drawing, if I have a pencil out, I'm asking myself, well, what's the pencil for? What's the paint for? So I don't waste time, rendering a bunch of, stuff, or because, we've all lived that life.
Yeah.
You do work that doesn't even show up in the end.
John, I know you collect a lot of these images, and since next week we're having people post, like submit reference. I think one of the things, because I know you guys talk about this at the Academy every year, is this idea of like the point of the image, light, like a light image, a light focus on a dark background, dark focus on a light, or a light focus on a dark background.
We're looking
Like,
for
which I can see in this image really clearly, but it's one of those things where I think until somebody explains it to you, it's not obvious, but then all of a sudden it's right in front of you.
Yeah, well, it's identifying the shapes and silhouettes really well.
Right.
Trying to see the shape and silhouette first. That's how we teach drawing at the Academy.
And he like really, I mean, not only just the depth of the focus, so like, but he like is off of his background very clearly. That's something that I notice, as far as he's the highlight of the image very clearly.
I like to be playful with form, but I still want to make sure things generally line up and are going to be believable. That's why I like doing this drawing night, because it gets me, with the timer and everything, it gets you to think a little faster. Sometimes I'm a slow drawer, but I think it's all relative. I like to start fast and then slow, which I think is an interesting concept to ask illustrators about, or just designers in general. It's like, do you start off thinking slow and then get faster with your process, or the reverse? I usually start off with like a quick energy, and then I end in like a more slow, thoughtful, thought out way.
If you weren't being timed and on a spotlight in front of a bunch of people, how much time do you think you would put into this image?
The time question has always been like the hardest one to answer.
Yeah.
And I think it just, it just is hard because your perception of time disappears when you're working. So I only know if I put the clock in.
Yeah. Just curious out of the crowd, who's joining for their first time tonight, and are you drawing with us? Or is it just all diehards? Die Hard. Yeah. Oh, cool. Well, everybody that's new, welcome. Sweet, a lot of new people tonight. That's great.
So did this, maybe John knows, did this piece of photography go into any illustrations that you know of?
I don't know of that. George might know if anybody knows,
Okay.
or Chris, or Gil, or Bill.
I don't know. I know you're just going down the line.
Anybody?
Is anybody out there?
Pretty sure my mom is drawing tonight for her first time.
Yeah.
She's a longtime listener, never drawer. But yeah, I think this is her first night.
Thanks for Timmy's mom.
She's our most reliable listener.
That's so cool.
She's always in the crowd.
How am I doing on time, by the way?
Let's see. Halfway.
Okay, fair.
So Audrey, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I've been doing like such teeny tiny paintings that I'm like, even if I size up like just by a hair, I have to keep in mind that. Okay, but what were you gonna ask?
I was just gonna ask, what type of work have you been doing lately? And it sounds like tiny paintings.
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
I like being able to move things around and think fast. I don't know if I have a reason. Sometimes it's space, and sometimes I have a very physical way that I approach like making art. That's why it's like when I mean physical, I like moving the paper around, and I really like moving this surface around and looking at it from different directions. And I feel like the bigger the piece, the more challenging that is. And I don't know, I can really kind of kick something around when it's tiny. I don't know if I have a sound reason for that, but sometimes you just feel it.
Audrey, what type of This is like the most common question on our Instagram whenever whenever basically you post anyone's work. What pen, what brush, what are you using?
Right now, very simple Pentel brush pen that I'm pretty sure you can get most places. I don't know anything else about it other than that. Pentel.
That's fine. We don't need to give out any free advertising to the big brush pen.
The big brush pen people.
If you're in the crowd and just listening, feel free to ask questions at any time. We'll pass them on to the artist. And since we're halfway through, I'm gonna zoom out so you can see what everybody's up to. Don, we're gonna stop by your studio for a minute.
How's everybody doing?
Don, I heard somebody in the crowd said, "Is it your birthday? Is it your birthday?"
No.
It is my birthday.
Happy birthday, Don. Were you gonna keep it a secret from everyone?
Gosh, yeah,
How dare.
pretty much. Yeah, it's all good. Thanks, man.
You
Yeah,
sound
no,
like
happy
you
birthday.
sound like a type 9 Enneagraph trying to keep your birthday secret. I saw this chart for like the Enneagraph for like Enneagram, I'm sorry. Like, how different types respond to having their birthdays. Type 9. They're like, it's just another day.
Don't blow my mind again. Last night you did it with AI dreaming. So
Huh?
last night my mind was blown with AI dreaming.
Oh,
Yeah.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
Mr. Payne.
Yes.
No rush, but your video is too bright.
Now it's bright.
Yeah, it's too bright. So you'll want to dim it a little bit before we get to you. Bill, stopping by your studio. It's good to have you back.
Thanks. Nice to be back.
Yeah, Don, we won't put you through. We had Bill Sienkiewicz in one of our classrooms for Visual Arts Passage on his birthday. He was a guest speaker on a birthday, and we had the whole student body sing him happy birthday. It was pretty fun. I was pretty nervous about it though, because John and I were like, "Yeah, that would be fun. That's something special to do." And I was like, "Oh man, I really hope it's not just me and John singing Bill Sienkiewicz happy birthday."
Like belting it out.
Yeah, or you have to sit through the whole thing, it's like where the birthday song just sounds like eternity.
yeah. Well, I can say at least it's not like how my mom's side of the family does it, where they also ask, like they count, they go, "Are you 1? Are you 2?" And they literally will count to your age. For every person, including the people in their 80s.
Oh, they're gonna be kind of wrong.
Way to rub it in.
I'm like, okay.
I forgot to stop by Ashley. I didn't see your video. Ashley,
I'm
we're stopping
here.
by. Hey.
Hello. Good evening,
Looks awesome.
everyone. Thanks. I ended up starting over because I didn't like my first one. It's
This
a
is from
mess.
starting over, huh? That's
Yeah.
great. Wow.
It happens.
That's impressive. That's great.
The other one was a mess. It just wasn't working.
So Audrey, what are you doing right now? As far as is this the first steps before color, or?
Well, I'm thinking, what can I quickly indicate value-wise with this, with my Payne's Gray, that'll pull this together as quickly as possible.
When you're working from a black and white image, is it hard for you? Is it more difficult for you to add color ever? Does it affect your?
Not at all.
Not at all.
It's fun.
Do you prefer black and white?
I always make the image that I'm looking at black and white when I'm looking at it, and then I'll flip around if I'm looking at an image. But I don't know. I mean, this sounds, I don't know how it'll sound, but it almost doesn't make a difference to you at a point.
Yeah.
It's kind of a strange feeling, but to me, an image is just information, and I feel like my brain just looks at the information, and I'm not really thinking of sorting it out. Like, is it color information or is it not color? Because
I feel the same way. Yeah.
Yeah.
The value structure is what matters most.
Yeah. Even in a colored picture, I know that I'm gonna change and interpret what I'm seeing anyway. So it's just information to me. If that makes, yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Here's a question from the audience. When do you decide if it's a mess? It's always hard for me to determine that.
If it's a mess.
Yeah.
Just an unredeemable mess.
The point of no return.
The mess factor. I mean, look, all I'm gonna say is, like, ultimately it comes down to your feelings. You know, I mean, it is kind of a, you know, it is kind of a feeling-based decision. So I'm sure the answer is gonna vary for everyone. But a mess for me begins when I lose excitement for the future.
That is a great way to put it.
Right.
Like, because I mean, like, in more than one arena, but like, if the future just starts to feel hopeless, then it's like, okay, then we need to choose a new path. But if it's like a mess, and you're like, but I feel like there could be a future for this if I just, you know, it's like a sensory thing. You're like, if I, you know, but I feel like if I put a glaze over this, you know, like you were saying, somebody had like an ugly pink colored glaze that they put over something, if it ever got, or Bill was saying that.
Even corn.
Huh?
Even corn.
Yeah. Like, sometimes just putting a huge old glaze over something can bring something back from the dead, but sometimes things need to be left in the grave and you just start fresh. And
as the wise George Pratt would say, don't polish a turd.
yeah. In a turd, yeah, only future for a turd is flushed. So, you know. So, I mean, yeah, when you start losing hope for the future of a picture, it's just start over. Hopefully that wasn't too depressing.
Yeah,
I quit.
Weird explanation in a while.
I just feel like it's funny though to like have like objective opinions about subjective things. So,
Right.
like, you guys are asking for my like opinions, and you gotta remember that most of the way that we learn is through feeling our way through. There's some objectives that help, but you know, illustrating is there's so much of it that is just best learned by doing.
Hey, our timer just went off.
All right. Well, I've got something up here. I don't. I'm gonna play with the hands a bit, but got something.
That's great.
And I do like the little shadow shapes on the face. A little fun, like how the hat melts in.
It's funny, Audrey, you're the only person who stopped when the timer went off. Every single other person on the panel was
I
drawing
don't
really
know.
fast.
I figured it was my duty to
Yeah, no, it's
acknowledge
like
it.
no, it's totally it's pencils down, and
Yeah,
everybody kept working.
Isn't the ACT test?
test quiz anxiety.
Yeah, Chris, those are over.
Right.
Are they really over?
Thing of the past.
No, I'm sure they'll come back.
Oh,
I don't know. Chris, we're looking at yours. The brightness looks much better. Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
If you hold that closer to the camera, we'll really see the detail. A little bit lower, a little bit lower. That's cool. That's great. Awesome.
Cool.
Gil, we're stopping by your studio.
Hey.
Great to have you back.
Always great to be here.
Second time on the panel. Drawing, you know. Awesome. Ashley, very cool.
Howdy.
Awesome. Great to have you back too.
Thank you.
John.
Getting going.
And Don.
Nice.
The birthday boy.
the birthday boy.
Birthday man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I'm gonna upload the next photo. Everybody, while you're waiting on this next photo, please, this next collection of photos, next two photos, please be sure to share your work. If this is your first time drawing with us tonight, be sure to go to Instagram, or if Facebook is more your speed, go to our Facebook group, which is called #IllustrationIsolation. And be sure to share your work. If you're on Instagram, you just need to post it with #IllustrationIsolation, and also be sure to tag @VisualArtsPassage. We've got Alice Collins hanging out with us tonight, and she does all of our social stuff, and we always like to reshare it and tag you and everything. It's really fun. And then at the end of the night, we will check out everyone's work. So be sure to share it. All right, the next photos are up. And I learned from last week, if I don't tell everybody to stop drawing, it won't ever end.
No.
Chris, you're next up to bat. The images are uploaded. I can see you have two very interesting characters.
That's my guy.
Which one? Oh, there, I see it. You're sharing it on the screen. Okay, great. Right on.
I'm showing it on TV.
On TV.
Chris, I warned you about
computer
family
TV.
photos.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a photo of Chris.
Hey,
This is a photo
that's
of
my
Chris.
Uncle Esther.
This is a photo of Chris when he was young. And,
Oh, man.
no, I'm joking, Chris.
That's okay.
Chris is a good-looking guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
There-
Day one of isolation and day
This is day one, day two. Awesome.
Count Olaf.
Okay, cool. So we're gonna stop by Mr. Payne's studio.
Okay. And just to let everybody know, all the time when I'm drawing here, I'm always drawing in just these standard Strathmore sketchbooks. This is one that's a little bit larger. It's a white, but I also use a lot of the 9x12s on gray, and I also use 9x12s with white. But for this, I'm just gonna use it's a larger, I think, what is this, 14x17. What I plan on doing is, I'm looking at that's the arrow on my computer, okay. I'm going to start my drawing. I'm going to get it so far, and we'll see if this works. I'm going to use this brayer and a palette here that I'm going to put some paint on with some acrylic paint with some Liquitex Ultra Matte Medium. And then I'm going to roll over it. And then I got to, Timmy, this is where you got to come in, shut the microphone off, because I'm going to run over and quickly put the hair dryer on it to try to
Here, I'll just
have 2 minutes.
I'll just turn the microphone off now. No, I'm just kidding.
I hear you.
No, this will be great.
So
Okay, Chris, I'm just curious. How often is this your method for working?
You know, I'm doing this all the time. My sketches, every now and then I get some assignments. You know, the mural project I did of Iggy Pop was done this way. I've done some other things. It's basically, it's not the way I do a lot of my illustration work. It's a lot of how I did the Tom Sawyer book art.
Right.
But mostly what I do is, you know, I use an oil wash. But this is just, for this purposes, it's a faster way. It's the same principle of getting a drawing down, putting a mid-tone, and then working back into it. So I'm just using different tools with the same process, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess if you want to hit the bell.
Yeah, Chris, how hard is it for you to, I don't know, is that brightness up a little bit now? It seems a little bright. Like we're not, like maybe it's blown out. We won't be able to see your,
Is it because it's on white?
Well, let's see when he draws, because that looks
Yeah.
pretty good. See what happens when he draws.
yeah.
And do I need to pull the camera back?
You know what? No, don't. No. Just, you just leave it. I agree with John. We'll just try it out.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah, we're good.
I don't get it. You know, we had it looking good just a minute ago.
Yeah.
All right. And by the way, just where I am, the lights here, they're motion sensitive. So if I'm not moving enough, they'll go off. So I got to wave my arms. So, all right, here we go.
Of course.
You don't have that clapper anymore?
Of course.
So I'm just going to start going off. Same thing. I think everybody else, we talk a great deal about this, is trying to see shape. So this guy has such a great character to him.
Yeah.
We're going to play off of that as much as I can.
How light is your pencil marking right now?
Oh, man, that's horrible.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, Chris. I was going to say, it looks pretty blown out.
All right. God, dang it. I don't understand.
I'd take it down like 20%.
All right, I get to my settings. I'm going to get the computer moving.
We're trying to give everybody else a head start to make this fair.
Yeah, go ahead.
Chris.
Oh my God. Are both of the references yours, Chris?
The two, yeah, Audrey, the two that were added after yours were Chris.
I'm trying to get my web settings.
There we
All
go.
right. No, that's not it.
I'm going to do a little tour while Chris fixes that.
I've gone down.
Yeah.
Can you see what? I'm on the thing with the settings.
Yeah, no. Sorry, Chris. It's still just blown out.
Chris, do you have are you looking at it from the Logitech software?
Hey, there you go, Chris. You just dropped it down a ton. There you go.
Did?
Yeah,
Is that better?
it is.
Okay.
Okay, that white.
All right, we're back. We're back at Chris's studio.
Sorry about that.
All right.
Yeah. Chris, I've noticed that you often pick very interesting looking people for your drawings. People that almost already look like caricatures of themselves.
Well, they're the most fun to do. Although
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on a piece right now. Play
Yeah.
with it a little bit of a scene from the movie Rear Window with Grace Kelly. To see how far I can try to push Grace Kelly.
Uh-huh.
Still have it read as Grace Kelly. I don't want to push. I don't. There's a lot of people who can do caricatures far better than me, and to distort them far more than me. I'm not interested in trying to distort so much. What I'm just trying to do is how much character can I get out of the person?
Uh-huh.
That's what I'm trying to get. And so, to me, there's a distinction there. And I guess that's also why I like old movies, because the old movies had just these great character actors who all just had such incredible faces, and they were what they were because they played certain roles because their character, their faces fit the roles that they were to play, and they were just great. And they tell such great stories with their faces, and I just like that.
So during quarantine, have you been just marathoning movies, Chris? Because some people might not know this. You're an encyclopedia when it comes to cinema.
I've been getting some good ones. One of my all-time favorites I saw not that long ago, The 49th Parallel, which is just an absolutely fantastic Michael Powell movie. And it's got everybody in it: Laurence Olivier, Leslie Howard, Finley Cooper, all these great people in it. And it's a great story. It's a cool movie. And it's just totally entertaining.
Do you watch contemporary movies as much as the older ones?
Mostly older movies. I mean, I do every now and then see something.
What's your cutoff year where it stopped getting interesting for you? I'm just curious. Is there an era that you
well, I mean,
you prefer, or that you're like, oh, that's when they lost me?
I think it's things like film noir.
Yeah.
If you ever get a chance, Timmy, just look it up. It's a movie called The Night in the City, and
The City.
The Night in the City.
In the City.
It is just so good. It's early Richard Widmark. Early in his career, he was always playing kind of dirtbags.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, his first was The Bass and Kiss of Death, where he plays Tommy Udo.
It was so creepy.
Oh man, that you little squeak.
Which is funny because later in his career he played all these really self-righteous sort of.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean,
And you're like, wait a minute.
I mean, his first role, Tommy Udo, he shoves the little old lady down the stairs, in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Which, 1947, that was pretty bold stuff.
Well, that's pretty bold now.
Yeah. Pretty typical.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. As far as edginess in film.
Or
Yeah.
They use it for political ads now, pushing people over cliffs.
I haven't seen those yet. We've been doing drive-in movies, Chris, where we project onto a little screen we've got that Well, that's what the seamless, Christopher's seamless. That's what it's been put to use for.
We did that in college. We did that in
Yeah.
college. We got big bed sheets and
Yeah.
stuck out the
Totally.
and
It's
watched.
the only way we can watch movies with our friends right now.
Yeah, and watched Young Frankenstein.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't really gotten into the classics archive yet. The closest we got to classics was we watched Speed.
Oh.
Keanu Reeves. And, classic. And what's her name? What's that?
That's painful. Listen to that.
Oh man, you guys don't know what you're talking about. It's a classic. It's a classic, and also it's critically acclaimed. It's 98. It's like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's amazing.
If you could see me shaking my head, I saw the movie. I saw.
Hey, and Jeff Daniels, famed stage actor Jeff Daniels. You might know him from Dumb and Dumber, but
the bus ramping and doing.
Oh, that's great. That's maybe you're just listing off the best ofs.
Oh, Timmy, man.
The best moments. Yeah.
God.
No, I'll take a. Chris, you can give me some homework on movies to watch, but I won't watch them until you give Speed another chance.
Hey, Timmy,
Hey, Bill.
if it's before 1980, it's classic. Actually, if it's before 1970, it's classic.
Oh, is that like the actual
I think
definition?
Is that the Bill
after
Koeb standard?
1970
Is that?
doesn't get to be called classic.
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's got to stand some test of time. There's some movies in the '70s I really love.
Yeah.
I thought.
Hey, Chris, I've loved Speed my entire life.
It's a cult classic. Cult classic.
I'm gonna send
Blade
it.
Runner is a classic.
And Blade Runner's a classic, but I thought Dog Day Afternoon, that was a classic.
That's an amazing movie.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Great movie.
I got one for you.
Yeah.
The Ninth Configuration.
Don't know that one.
So that was written and directed by William Peter Blatty.
Right?
So you know who he is, right?
Sure.
The Exorcist guy.
Right.
Stars Stacy Keach.
Right.
It's got Moses Gunn in it.
Wow.
It's got a whole ton of guys. It's about these men who were put into a mental institution that's inside of a castle in Northern California. And it's there's a whole bunch of Shakespearean references and Hamlet references. And it's all about, and there's Buck Rogers references. The original story was called Twinkle, Twinkle, Killer Kane. And it's all about, like, were these guys pretending to be insane to get out of the war, or were they actually insane? It's like
Logical thriller a little bit.
Stacy
How's
plays
our time
in this place.
How's our time?
Well, I'm adding 2 minutes to it, no matter what it is. So officially you have 11 minutes.
Okay, good.
Anyways, check it out. It's
Talking about
Configuration. Cool. Sounds good. All right, so see if this thing shows up here. If we can slide this over here so you can sort of see the palette. Pull it
Sure.
down. And I'm going to just take a little water with the ultra matte medium, throw some of the paint in that, some of the paint blue there, get some paint in there, and then take the brayer, get the paint out of the brush. Now I'm just going to start going over it.
Are there any pitfalls to this method that you have to be careful about, Chris?
Sometimes you just want to watch how much you load it up. There's a certain point that it's too much, and so you have to kind of drive the brayer out a little
Chris.
bit.
Yeah, Chris. If it's not uncomfortable, your head is blocking a lot of the video
Sorry.
when you lean forward. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that looks great now.
Just going to try to let this go down here. That should be enough. All right. All right. Timmy, hit the microphone.
While Chris steps away, I'm going to do a little tour, see what everybody's up to. Bill, we're in your studio.
You see that?
Yeah. Great. Hey, Audrey.
Hey.
And then Scott Anderson somehow got in here, and awesome to have you, Scott. Scott, sorry, I don't know how that happened, but you're back. That's what matters.
Thanks for having me back.
That's great. Awesome. Don.
Yes.
Awesome. Looking great. John, you went with the other character?
I went with the other character.
And Ashley.
Keep thinking of Rick from Rick and Morty while I'm working on
Oh,
this.
totally. Definitely. The hair, for sure. And Gil.
Yep.
This is a packed house tonight. This is great.
Hey, Timmy, I'm curious how many people are here from the AIGA Detroit event. I did a recording for them today, and I told everybody, did a big plug for this today.
Yeah, let's see. Who is here from the AIGA Detroit? I said that wrong, I think.
No, you said it right.
Okay.
Hopefully some of them turned up.
Hey, Chris, I sent your request to unmute, but you're muted still. I can't, believe it or not, it doesn't let me unmute other people's computers.
That's a good thing.
That's the old school install of Zoom.
Is it on now?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. So again, this goes down so nice, and it really gives you, it's amazing how it accepts the colored pencils, so you can just very nicely start to redefine and pull things out relatively quickly. I love this little part in his eye right here. This little piece coming down here. And that comes down. Jim, you can't hear my radio, can you?
No.
Good.
I can't.
I've got it far enough away.
Yeah. We still have a figure drawing video that YouTube keeps flagging.
Oh man.
No, it's funny. I'll just I gotta edit your part out, unfortunately, Chris. Sorry.
Why? Because the music?
Yep. Isn't
Wow.
that amazing? It's that sophisticated.
I know, but I would have thought, I didn't know Beethoven was around to be able to fight over his copyrights.
It must have been something else. Who knows?
I mean, Beethoven's coming up, on his 250th birthday soon?
Yeah, but he's really diligent with protecting his intellectual
It's
property.
his lawyers. It's not him. It's
It's his lawyers. No, your radio is fine. I'm glad we found a optimum volume for you and the event. This is great. And Chris, we're still seeing a lot of your head right now. I can tell it's a comfort. You know, I don't mean to make you uncomfortable with how much you lean back or anything.
No, I know. Okay. My problem is sometimes I have a tendency to like to use these smaller pencils and hold them by the side here as opposed to these long ones.
There's nothing wrong with your head. It's just I know people came to watch you draw.
Nothing wrong with it. It's just in the way.
It's just in the way, man.
In the way. It's the corners.
So, Chris, during quarantine, what have you been busy working on?
Well,
drawing.
School, you know, the Hartford art program that we've got, we're going to start up June 6th, and we're doing all our classes online. So all my
June 6th, that's early.
July 6th, I apologize. July 6th.
It's like, you're late.
Yeah. No, July 6th. And so I'm getting I've got, six lectures on illustration and context, which is basically it's our history of illustration. It's a nice way of putting it. And then I've got some pedagogy classes that I'm working on my lectures on that. So, and then what I've got to do is I'm writing all this stuff down because it's going to be recorded. And as you know, Timmy, you just can't wing it. You got to get everything done and get everything tidy so everything gets done.
Right. That's why this is all scripted. This event that we host.
It's going to be interesting. So
yeah, we've never, Chris, as you know, me and John have never winged it.
It's amazingly calculated.
It's to a degree no one would ever anticipate.
No, but I mean, we know what
you're talking about. Yeah, you can't just go in with no plan, right?
Normally, the program would take place over 2 weeks, but because we're doing it in online, there's just no way you can ask students to be on a computer from 7 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. So we're having to spread it out, and so it's bringing a new challenge to us. And so
yeah,
and it's also it's a challenge for our students. So anyway,
there are a lot of college students in the crowd that are going to school in the fall. Just curious.
Well,
maybe that's a touchy question. I don't know.
Well, I think it depends on the state. I think I heard something here. I think some folks are going to be going to school at Dayton. I think even at Hartford in the fall, they're planning on some, but I think they also have to prepare for students who do not feel comfortable and don't.
Sure.
And so they have to basically be somewhat prepared for both possibilities. Which
will you be teaching online?
With some luck by when we're in the fall, which would be in October. That would be our first travel trip.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to plan on going to New York simply because I just don't know whether New York will be ready.
Right.
So we may pick a different city for our first contact period.
Sure.
I am contemplating Columbus, not because it's close to me necessarily, but in Columbus, they've got the Billy Ireland Cartoon Museum, which is probably the best cartoon museum in the world. They've got not too far away in Findlay, Ohio, they've got the Billy Ireland, the Mazza Children's Book Art Museum.
Really?
Which is a fantastic museum on children's books. You've also got really terrific artists in the Columbus area who, like Lauren Long, who's a brilliant children's book illustrator. You've got really good cartoonists. You've got really good political cartoonists. There's a guy by the name of Chris Sickles who lives in Indianapolis area. He's Red Nose Studios, if you're familiar with Red Nose Studios.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
So, but I just have to find out what we're going to be, what's going to be available to us. But right now, my first goal is I got to get through this.
You mean the
I
drawing?
don't know. Can you?
Yeah, I was just gonna add, yeah. Go
Is
ahead,
it-
Chris.
Is this showing up?
Yeah, loud and clear.
See, and the fun part is, see, you can take a pencil like this. Look at this. Barely run it across this, and all of a sudden, you rosy some areas up. I could take another color with a little bit more pop to it, and I'm barely. I don't know if you can see just how softly I'm going over this. I mean, I'm not hitting it real heavily. And yet you're getting some beautiful color in there. I don't know if that's coming through. And of course, if I'm going to be utilizing the red there, what I might want to do is come down here and cool this off with a little gray down in here and up in here. That then makes that up there pop a little bit more.
Hey, Chris, we're going to go another minute and a half, 2 minutes.
Okay. Mouth. What's blowing some of this out, Timmy, is I've got sunlight coming through a window.
Yeah, it looks great right now, Chris.
Good.
It's perfect. Yeah.
Let's see, look at that.
Yeah. So, because Chris, obviously I follow you on Instagram, and those of you who don't, well, first of all, everybody in the audience should give it a look, because you post a drawing almost every day.
Well,
And
I wish
is it backlogged, or are you doing those every day?
most of them are done every day. Every now and then, if it's somebody's birthday and I've done them before, I'll go ahead and post one that I've done. But most of them are always done. But
Yeah.
like I said, right now I'm so socked in with school right now. Sometimes I'm having to cheat a little bit and pull one out of the pen, so to speak. Yeah, now that sun is really blasting through now. Yeah, you can see how the sun is.
Right. Yeah.
That's Mr. Sun right there.
We'll make it. You're racing against time.
Anyway, let's get this up here a little bit. With the sun being away, John, let's call it time, and I'll
Okay.
let me
Cool.
move the camera up a little bit here.
I'm going to do a little tour of the studios. Gil, hey. Awesome.
Wow, that was great.
I cannot.
Ashley. Wow.
Nice.
John.
Good job. Ha!
Don, that's great.
That's awesome, Don.
That's
It
fun.
seems we all have the caricature spirit tonight, Chris.
Yeah.
Having fun.
Audrey,
Fading, Audrey.
that's great.
It's pretty sweet.
Scott, awesome.
Thank you.
Love it. And Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
There we go.
Thanks, Bill.
Looks a little fuzzy to me on my screen. I don't quite know why.
So I'm going to zoom out, everybody. Now, Ashley, you are up next to bat. I'm going to post your work. And while I do that, everybody in the audience, and if you're on the panel and you want to and you got the time, please post your work to Instagram or Facebook. If this is your first time here, you go to the Facebook page, you go to our group, Illustration Isolation, just post it in there. Or you can go to Instagram and just be sure to use the hashtag Illustration Isolation and tag @VisualArtsPassage. And just tag @VisualArtsPassage. Is somebody tired? I heard a yawn.
That was me. I forgot my mic was on.
I was like, is it that boring?
Nah, it's just been a long day.
Oh, no. Thanks for coming. This is great. Yeah, I was like, Ashley, you're up next.
I'm pumped.
Yeah, that's your pregame routine.
It is.
All right, cool. I'm gonna make sure these images are near ready for you. I'm pretty sure they should be up.
That was kind of like a Chris Payne's got nothing yawn.
Yeah, that was a confidence yawn.
Yeah, that's what we'll call it.
That's what you call power. That's a power yawn.
A power yawn, I like that. Like, I got this.
Epic rap battles of illustration.
the rap battles of illustration. That's great. That's hilarious.
Let's not make that happen.
I would have lost that a long time ago.
Let me refresh it. Maybe it's up.
It's loading on my end, but it might be going slow for everybody.
Yeah,
So,
I keep hitting the refresh.
Yep. Everybody in the audience, have you?
Okay.
Are they showing up for you yet?
Yeah, I
It's
just
working
refreshed.
for me, so yeah.
Okay. I was
All
going to do this ship captain fellow.
Okay.
Cool.
Is that
You're sticking
right,
with the
Liv?
nautical theme.
Yes. I don't know. I liked his profile. And I'll just dive right in. So I always use a mid-tone. I'm using chalk pastels, and this is just regular newsprint. And I usually have like black, white, and then a mid-tone. I keep it real simple. So, so I'll take like my mid-tone one. Honestly, I usually would use a much lighter one, but it's really hard to see on here. And normally I have 2 lights on, but for some reason my webcam just loves like washing it all out. So I just have the 1 light on right now. So I'm just gonna go in and establish some shapes. My picture might very well move around even after I put these quick strokes. So I'm just kind of paying attention to the shapes of the shadows and the shapes of where the light is hitting this dude. And then I'll drop my pastel like a champ. Okay.
Ashley, the way I remember, this is completely off topic, but
Okay.
you just hired a new concept teacher, Lake Hurwitz. You remember
Oh,
Lake?
I love Lake. Yeah, I've known Lake forever.
He said he remembered, all the way back to Ringling.
Yes, he was my boyfriend at the time. It was his roommate. Not Lake wasn't my boyfriend at the time, but my roommate. I am tired tonight. Okay, let's start.
I was gonna say, I was like,
My
oh
boyfriend's
no.
roommate. Yeah.
It's like,
So yeah, long time ago. And then
Well-
he actually only stayed at Ringling for a little while. And
Yeah, he went out to San Francisco.
yeah, because he really wanted to do concept art, and I remember being happy for him because I mean that was more of a focus, and Ringling didn't have any like dedicated department to that.
Well, he seems like a terrifically nice guy. I like what he does, and seems to
Oh
be
yeah, he's great.
real professional.
Yeah, I ran into him at a Luxicon. I call it a Luxicon. I think it's called LuxCon, with the one that's in Reading, Pennsylvania. Yeah, I actually say it wrong, but it's more fun the way I say it. So
I say it the same way, actually, but I say most things wrong. So
Luxicon, and it was like, hi, I haven't seen you in 10 years, and so we caught up, and that was one of the only conventions that year I had seen him, and then he was there again the following year, and so it's always good to hang out with him. He's a talented fellow. He's doing work with Wizards of the Coast, right? Where's
Right.
he? And he's in. I
he's
forget if he
in
moved.
Seattle now.
Yeah, last time I talked to him, he had like moved out there. It's been a while since we've spoken. It's been a real bummer with all of these conventions having been postponed or canceled because it's pretty much when I'd catch up with everybody.
Yeah.
So, yay. But yeah, he purchased one of my drawings last year.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna think on it. And he came back, and I'm like, haha. So what is he doing? Did he come in? You said he's
teaching.
going to be teaching?
Well,
Okay.
he did a guest speaker spot with us this semester, and we were
Nice.
really impressed with him, and nothing but good things have everybody said about him from the industry. So
Yeah, he's
teaching our third installment at the
world building for
in our
the
world
concept
building, the
program.
concept design.
Yeah, I remember talking to him about, it was before I really dove into doing like digitally drawing or taking like my black and white mermaid pieces and coloring them digitally. And we had a good conversation about how to go about that. And that's worked out pretty well. All right, face. Ugh, is that what my voice sounds like over there?
I never sound accurate.
I know. John Foster likes to tease me about what my voice sounds like on microphones.
Nobody likes to listen to their own voice on a microphone.
No.
Yeah, my friend started a podcast.
I don't, you know.
And she's like, oh my gosh, do I always sound so snarky? And I'm like, well, no. It's part of your charm. Yeah, so what I really loved about this is knowing I could go in and do all these like fun shapes and stuff once I got my white chalk pastel in there, especially with this shape in there. And I really need to do the rest of this guy's head. I just dove right into the stuff I was most excited about. So when talking earlier, like when do you just start over? And I thought, Audrey, you pretty much explained that perfectly. It's a feeling, because that's where I got earlier. I did something, it just wasn't, my piece, the figure wasn't really sitting on the page the way I wanted. I did a more up close drawing, and I'm like, I'm not feeling it. I've only got 20 minutes. And I did. I felt like it was just polishing a turd. It wasn't really like going anywhere.
It's a feeling. It's a bad feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't
I have
good.
a bad feeling about this.
Especially when you know other people are going to be looking at it later and you're like, no, this isn't going to work. But I mean, not saying that drawings don't have their ugly phases. My drawings usually always go through ugly, 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 like mess, 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 and then you kind of just start to pull it all together. But it really just takes time of knowing when to just get a new piece of paper. I haven't done it with an illustration in a while, but that's usually because that's different. You spent hours and hours working on thumbnails and rough sketches and tight sketches and all that. So usually by then, after doing all those steps, you won't have a piece that falls apart. Not always, but whenever it comes to figure drawing, yeah, it's okay. It's okay to start over. Aye, aye, Captain.
You do a lot of drawings in front of people, either at events or you film them.
I do, but I always get it, the feeling of expectation, and it's always there. I don't know if it'll ever. There's a bug. That wasn't some technique. It's a bug on my drawing. But in the beginning, like the very first few minutes, I always get anxious, and I've just kind of accepted that. Like that's just part of it. And then I start drawing, and then I'm like, oh, okay. And you just kind of get into the groove. But I have done a lot of it was for like on my Patreon. I was doing a lot of live drawings and stuff. Now those are just archive demos. I haven't been doing them quite as much as I did the previous year, partly because I just didn't have the time. And also I was working on so many other projects. It was just bouncing around everywhere. This year's been much calmer. Okay.
Ashley, do you draw every day?
Yep. Okay, well, I will say
Yeah, let's be honest.
not every day, no, because I do try to take off on the weekends.
Okay.
So I would say during the weekday, I do a lot of drawing, especially whenever like my husband travels, and whenever he gets home, all bets are off. Like I tend to make sure I get as much work done as possible before he gets back, because I turn into like such a lazy bum whenever he's here, which I think is understandable.
Here's a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, like, or there's other distractions, like the most recent, The Last of Us 2 on PlayStation. Now, I've purchased this game. I've downloaded it, but I haven't played it yet because I know that's going to take up at least 2 days of me not doing anything.
I've heard nothing but amazing things about that game.
I know, and I just recently I wanted to replay the first one just so I can refamiliarize myself. And trust me, I'm eager to play it, but I know I can't be trusted once I hit the play button.
I might get this wrong, but I'm like 90% sure that for The Last of Us 2, I think Natalie Hall designed the tattoo for one of the lead characters.
That sounds like a great Tim looks
Yeah.
up topic.
I was gonna say
One for
that.
each panelist.
No. I swear I'm not Googling that. I saw Natalie shared.
That's cool though.
Someone in the crowd's backing me up. Yeah, she posted on Instagram.
Good.
That's where I saw it. Thanks, Heather. Yeah, I'm not Googling.
Oh, that could be my Google question
Yeah.
for you. But
According to here's a question from the crowd for you though, Ashley.
Okay.
Someone has probably asked this already, they say, but what kind of pastels are you using?
Oh snap, that's like my #1 question on all my social media. But I do not mind answering it. I like using, they're called new pastels, and they're the ones that come in the paper wrapper. They're square, rectangular. They are a harder pastel, like they stick, they have more binder than, let's say, like Rembrandt or Sennelier or all the other ones. So that's the one that I like using because I like getting those edges, and often I always have like an X-Acto blade, and when I want to get those sharp edges again, I'll just like shave it down. I've got a little pile of pastel dust over here specifically for that.
Now, you generally work in pastel almost all the time.
I do. I know. I
Well,
wish
that's really
I'd
not
branch
fair.
out a bit more
That's not
sometimes.
fair for the rest of us. You come in here and you're all, it's your medium of choice. That's what we used to joke with when drawing with Gary Kelly, because he's used pastel for so long.
And I've talked to my friend Corey Godby, who does a lot of work for the Dark Crystal. He does illustrating and writing for them. And we were talking about that, and he's like, I would, I said, he admires artists who do that, but he'd rather be a master of 2 or 3 things versus just bouncing around all over the place.
I don't think medium matters at all. I'm just teasing you because you're so damn good at it.
Oh, well, I was even thinking about doing gouache.
With you're so fossil with the material.
It's just because I use it all the damn time. That's all.
That was my point.
Wow, but I do think about that. Like, I need, at least when doing studies like this, and I've done my gouache landscape paintings, which I really enjoy doing. But when it comes to illustrations, final pieces and stuff, yeah, my comfort zone is this, and it's kind of where my personality shines most.
I know you sell a lot of your originals too.
Mm-hmm.
I differ through a couple different venues that you do that, but how do you store them?
Okay, that's like a big subject too that comes up.
I know it is, but I've been to Gary Kelly's studio. I watched this.
How does he do it? Oh
my gosh, it's amazing. He builds like foam core.
That's what I used to do.
Frames for them. He packages everything. He mounts it, and then he cuts out a frame, which is about the size of the image, and then he puts which is a piece of foam core with a negative space, so there's a lot of space in between, and then he puts another piece of foam core on top of that. So so it's nothing can touch it.
And that's what I used to do. But I use, and I don't know if it's because of the combination of materials, but I use BFK Reeves printmaking paper for most of my drawings because I like that you can beat it up and it can take it. If I get too much pastel, I just wipe it away. I've tried a bunch of different types of paper, and that's like my favorite. So, and because it has such a tooth, I can really get the pastel into it. Because as I'm working, like I haven't been using it tonight, but I have like a can of air, and I'll just use that to get all of the excess pastel dust off of the surface. And when I'm finished with the drawing, that's what I do. Like I spray the hell out of it, because I don't want any of that excess pastel dust to get like on the mat and things. So once I do that, I just have, you know, the like the portfolios that usually students use them for portfolio reviews. I don't know what they're called exactly, even though there's one over there, but I don't have my glasses on. I can't read what it says, but it's just like a booklet with the plastic sleeves.
Right.
Well, I have that. I have one that's massive, that's like 18 by 24. I'll take out the sheets, the black sheets that are in there,
Right.
and then tape my drawings to it and just put those inside the booklet and be done with it.
Wow. Right. Totally. So.
Yeah, it's a lot less work because that's what I used to do. But once I realized that I could, as long as I'm not doing like this to them, you know, as long as I'm doing that, it's fine. If I go like this, it's not really, for those who can't really see what I'm doing, like I just pat on it, it's not, the pastel is going to stay in place. You just don't want to rub against it. And
I can tell it doesn't come off on your hands at all.
No, not at all. Like this is just an optical illusion. But I'm just saying, as far as storing them, that's usually good. Like when I bring my originals to like conventions and stuff, I'll have them matted, so they have like a little, you know, centimeter or more between them and the clear bag. And I'll let people pick them up and you know, touch them and in the clear bag and everything, and it's fine. And that's how I ship them too. Wow. So I haven't had any problems that way.
Good to know.
Yeah, but two things you have to consider. You really have to like tape it down. It's like I've overworked this guy's face, so I'm just gonna do this. You really have to tape it down so it doesn't move between like the piece of paper and the plastic. Yeah. And static electricity is your enemy. Oh, so anytime you get like non-glare acrylic to frame, or even these like booklets, you have to make sure there isn't any static, because it will pull the pastel like right off of it. And there's different ways you can get rid of static. Usually the best way is a wet cloth, and then just dry it, of course, because you don't want your pastels to get wet. That is a fun technique, but you probably don't want to do it for a finished piece. So, and that's just years of playing around with them and figuring it out. That was a long-winded answer.
Oh no, it's good. It's a good answer. Good to know. Okay, let me check. I'm going to check the timer and see how you're doing. Two minutes.
2 minutes for the captain. Okay. Yep. Even yeah, shipping the pastels. I'm glad it, as long as they're matted. I haven't had a client have any issues. I've even traveled to Europe and back with pastel pieces and not had any problems. But again, it might be also because of the media and the fact that how I use a can of air to get rid of excess pastel dust, so no dust is like sitting on the surface. I think since we've got 2 minutes, I'm going to try to like really pop in where you see the distinction between the shadow and the highlights, because that's where I can kind of like try to make this look more dimensional and finished. I do feel like I kind of lost some fun brush strokes earlier, but whatever. That's the one thing about newsprint. Once I work too much on something, it's hard to bring it back because it's all like caked up. And if this was BFK Reeves, I'd just use like a old cotton t-shirt.
And if everything was BFK Reeves, the world would be better.
Yeah. Stonehenge is another popular one. And the only reason I knew about any of these is because I took a printmaking class a long time ago. And that's how I was like, ooh, yeah, I like this. Because I know the Academy has its own special paper that you guys like. And I've enjoyed using that one too.
The Trayvon printing warehouse
Yeah.
overfill.
Yeah.
It's our newest favorite paper every year.
It is.
The newest favorite paper.
And it's funny, every year there's a crew of people that ask for like where they can get it in stores. And it's like, nah.
It's special. You can't get
It's
it.
very
in stores.
special.
We
I
found
know.
it's very reasonably priced if you buy 9 tons of it at a time.
Yeah. And then cut it in half.
I actually didn't realize you had to get that much of a bulk order.
It's
It's
as
not that much.
Mm.
I mean, John, it's as tall as a short person. When
So
we
it's
get
as tall
it.
as me?
Yeah.
It's usually like I don't know. It's usually like 5 feet of paper at the
But
beginning
that's
of the
that.
academy.
Yeah, that's like an Ashley size thing of paper there.
Yeah.
Oh, it is, and it takes like several large men to move it in.
Yeah. Those are the serious brownie points. The people who help move the paper the first day.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
trade secret right there.
Yeah. If you wanna be best friends at the academy with everybody who runs it, help move the paper the first day.
Yeah.
Or the last day, one or the other.
And if you want to be the opposite, buy 2 sheets at a time.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah. You'll be my favorite person.
But I only
I apologize. I apologize to
have
anybody. I apologize to anyone in the crowd right now that's like, I was that guy.
Like 25 cents a sheet or something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, it's a deal.
I mean,
It's a deal.
if I was when I was there, I just didn't want to hoard it. Otherwise, I would have taken a ream of it. I would have been like, "Here's $20. I'll just go."
Go buy yourself something nice.
I mean, I've got actually a couple sheets, the blue sheets here. So
Yeah.
Okay, the timer went off about a minute ago, Ashley. So
Okay.
you can keep working if you want to.
I'm gonna
I'll
zoom
play
out though.
around.
I'm gonna see what everybody else has been up to. We'll stop by Gil first. Awesome, Gil. You went with the other image.
Yeah.
Great. Very cool.
Thank you.
Very nice, Gil.
Thank you.
Chris, I can see. Wow. Cool.
That guy's fun to draw. I had fun drawing him, Chris.
Oh yeah.
he's cool.
Scott, man, I think if we were to give an award for best quality stream, I think you'd win.
It's because it's my iPhone 11. It's got a.
I was gonna say
camera in
it looks like you're filming with a human eye.
That should be in
It's
their
great.
commercial advertisement.
Yeah, exactly. It's like taking photos with an eyeball. That's great.
Nice, Scott.
Thank you.
Bill,
I
that's
did
great.
That's awesome.
That one that I did.
Awesome. Don, very cool.
Oh, Don.
Wow.
Right, happy birthday on it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Audrey, very cool.
Oh, beautiful.
Awesome. Well, I'm gonna get Gil's photo ready. While we're doing that, everyone please remember to post your work, share it in the Facebook group. You know, we're probably, I think it kind of depends. We're probably going to just go through the Facebook group photos, just so we don't have to go through well, we need to reclaim the illustration isolation hashtag, everybody on Instagram, before we start flying through it live. You know, I've sent Zoom requests for a broadcast delay, but I don't think we're going to get it.
It was a
yeah.
good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, this is fully live.
It's really nice, Audrey.
Thank you.
Scott, the iPhone 11 looks awesome. I'm still just blown away.
You know, the only problem with having this instead of a webcam though is that I literally, when I want to like unmute myself, I'm going like this and sticking my head
so
underneath,
you joined the room from the iPhone. That's what I thought was crazy, because you can't plug the iPhone in and use it as a webcam, that's
right. So I've been thinking I need to get myself a webcam for this thing, but now that you're
all in
love with the iPhone, I don't know what to do.
Just use the iPhone and just never unmute.
Just never say anything.
Just
Don't yawn.
and draw.
Yeah. Yeah. Gil, you're up next. Are you ready? Ready for showtime?
Okay.
Those photos, I mean, I didn't mean to rush it. We're not going anywhere.
Like all my colleagues, I'm just getting every minute I can.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you can probably see nobody has stopped.
I never started.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
This is great. Okay, everybody. Those photos should be loading. They're a little slow tonight, but they're working on my end.
Okay. Let's see. I need to shift.
Curious to see what everyone is going to come up with for the assignment.
Oh, yeah.
You mean the reference?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that.
Oh, yeah. You don't say assignment?
Well, you know, what's interesting, yeah. Everybody in this room has done it over and over again. I mean, all the people that were spotlighting, shooting reference is a huge aspect of it. And it's a really healthy thing to get good at. Let's put it that way, to practice.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Plus, if your image gets chosen, you're going to get some really great portraits.
I joined late. What's the homework? What's the assignment here?
It's next week is going to be, we're having the audience submit their reference photography. So okay. John put together a little assignment sheet, and this week, hopefully a lot of people participate. And we'll be working with some crowdsourced photo reference.
I think sometime you should have the panelists all submit our most embarrassing photo reference that we've taken for jobs. Because
that would be great.
I have quite the archive of goofy facial expressions, and I'm sure everybody can relate.
That would actually be really fun.
My wife will 86 that one.
All right, everybody, pencils down. Next one.
All right, is it up?
It is up, yeah. If you hit the refresh, it is up. It's live.
And it is Frederick Douglass.
Only two of them.
Oh.
Yeah, I put two of them in there, Gil. I put the one you chose and then an alternative.
I just had a quick outage. I have to reboot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no rush. John, which one did Gil select originally?
I think one.
Yeah, the first one.
Yeah. So
that one that's up there, the one that Scott's got up.
Mm-hmm. I'm rebooting some kind of way. I cut off for a second. So.
Hey, That's no problem. You know, I don't think we're in any rush.
Cool.
So Gil, I'm just, you know, and I know a lot of people have joined since we first mentioned it. But John was talking about how you actually had this as an assignment at one point.
Yeah, and when I first started doing my work, it was the beginning of this initiative in publishing to have a broader range of representation of African American heroes. And there was this company called Chelsea House, and I did about 7 book covers for them.
Yeah.
This cover was for another publisher, but it was my drawing style, because I worked in pastel, but I developed a linear drawing style because I didn't want to paint like everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So the drawings over time have evolved into paintings, but back then, that emotional space that we were talking about earlier didn't permit me to cover my surface. So when I excuse me, I get confused because I'm on 2 computers. When I was drawing, I felt free, and I can't talk and concentrate. Give me 1 second.
Hey, no worries.
Okay.
I love that, Gil, because I can't either.
Yeah, none of us can.
I can't text or type anything and talk at the same time. It's impossible. I can't have 2 conversations going on at the same time in my head.
I can't.
Yeah, Gil, you really haven't done illustration isolation until you're in the middle of your drawing and I ask you to fix your webcam somehow.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah,
Chris,
Chris and Audrey know what I'm talking about.
that's me in the background. They're doing it. I text Timmy and said they're doing too well. Threw a wrench at him.
I'm getting there, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry. Here we go. Here we go.
Don just left, but Don, awesome to have you.
Okay.
Or he's about to leave. He's saying his
Thank you,
goodbyes.
everybody.
Thanks for
Happy
coming,
birthday,
Don.
Don.
Don, happy birthday.
Yeah,
man.
have a good birthday.
Guys.
Happy birthday.
Don,
Yeah.
Enjoy yourself.
So I'm shifting to a tone paper. This is probably suicidal, but here we go.
For someone who doesn't know any better, why is that a crazy choice?
Well, actually it's not. It's just when shifting gears in midstream, you know, I went from working with pencil on just a nice quality drawing paper to this really textured handmade paper. I was trying to see if I could find the watermark so I could say what it's called, but no luck. When my rig shut down on me, that was that.
Right.
So I wasn't paying attention to the side that I was drawing on, because you know one side is always more coarse than the other. And so this is an adventure.
So Gil, I actually have a question, because you know a lot of the photography we've brought into this into these events is usually it's a reference photo that is just meant to capture a figure or kind of give a reference, but we haven't used too many captured too many historical individuals, which I know last week you also chose a historical figure.
Right.
How do you go about that differently when it's the image you're drawing is tied to a real person?
I don't know. I love doing portraits because I think you really have to show off your skill because you have to be spot on. So that's just part of my thrill. as an artist.
Mhm.
It's process and just being able to nail a representation. And fortunately, a lot of my work, as a result of my ability to capture my subject's likeness, and I think a sense of the spirit of that character.
Mhm.
And the job these jobs to me were really personal, because it was a way I was involved with documenting history, or
Mhm.
bringing this history forward. So I always felt like that. Um, just trying to do justice, to have a powerful and positive representation. Because when I was growing up, I didn't see brown people, black people in publication. So when it happened, it was pretty awesome, and to get the opportunity to do it.
Mhm.
So it's like drawing heroes. So whoever it was just like my interest in history, and I guess trying to show off my ability. That I went to a high school for art, right? The High School of Art and Design.
Uh-huh.
So I've always been. It's not competitive, right?
Right.
I've just always been around people who knew what quality was, in terms of drawing and painting. And so,
Right.
so that's just part of like the involvement. It's like to be a part of that group that demonstrated a capacity to make strong pictures. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, yeah. How did you find yourself? I mean, and I know some of this story, but just for the audience sake, you mentioned that you were in a really a very like special, like your upbringing in New York, and the environment you were in creatively is a really interesting story, I think,
Well,
in that you had access to, it seems like, a lot.
yeah, I went to this high school called Art and Design, and it was a really, really well-known public high school in New York City. You had to test to get in, and basically the best artists from all over the 5 boroughs and some Jersey kids got into the school.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, we had amazing teachers because they were all artists, right? And it was serious. We learned perspective and anatomy, and it was like 12 majors. So, and just kids that were phenomenal. And from there, well, I ended up going to State University and exploring fine art and printmaking. But then I ended up at the School of Visual Arts. And that really was where I got introduced to amazing faculty. So I studied with Marshall Arisman, Robert Weaver, Julian Allen, this guy San Martin. And these guys were just incredible.
Yeah, someone in the crowd just said Marshall Arisman. Wow.
Yeah. But Robert Weaver and Arisman,
Yeah.
and they were, I studied the history of illustration with Steve Heller.
Yeah.
figure drawing with Jack Potter. So these guys were pretty amazing. And I was fortunate enough to be able to start to practice illustration like right out of the gate. Because when I finished up my undergrad studies, I got into my senior year. I got a piece into the Society of Illustrators, and that was about as good as you could get. At that time, it was the professional show. And from there, my opportunities just kept going. Like my first job was a portrait. It was an album cover for this artist, Angela Bofield. And it just kept going there. And I've been fortunate.
Yeah.
You know, when I left New York and moved to Detroit, it was to start the illustration program at the college that I work at. I did it for 10 years. In 2010, I was given the Distinguished Educators Award by the Society of Illustrators. I've been blessed to be able to do this.
Have you always had an interest in comics since a young age, or
not really?
Something that happened?
Comics happen.
Yeah.
You know, I was studying art. You know, I was saying, you know, last week I was studying art. I was going to be this serious artist, and that was really dumb.
Why was it dumb?
Well, you know, because I was just a young, myopic, kind of limited person, because I didn't realize until I started doing graphic novels how much work went into doing that. And I just got another level of appreciation. When we were talking last week, George knew, because George is pretty much a contemporary for me, because we were working in comics around the same age. He hung in a bit further than I did.
Yeah, he's been suspiciously quiet tonight.
But
yeah,
you know, you got Bill Sienkiewicz, and,
right?
Kent Williams, just the guys that were just making incredible books and the graphic novels.
Yeah.
And that's what illustrators were getting, these sweet jobs. They were sweet. They were very long projects, because when you got a series, it was a 5-book series. And you had to get at least, I think it was like 3 books in the can before the book was shipped, to make sure that everything, you know, everything was appropriate, so that when the book started to sell, it was always on time.
Oh, that makes sense. Right.
Yeah. And, you know, they were long projects, and being able to work on a project for that long was pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. And,
So yeah.
Okay.
I was gonna say, so all the artists that can ask interesting questions, they're all busy right now drawing. So you're stuck with my questions. And one of the questions I wanted to ask was, you know, drawing from a historical photo of a historical figure that had a story.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about asking, or how do you go about interpreting that image? Are you thinking about Frederick Douglass's story, or are you just really focusing on the image and trying to capture that?
It's sort of a combination.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, particularly at this stage, when I was doing all of this particular type of work, when I was doing my illustration, I always had jazz going on. Some kind of jazz music, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
o'clock in the morning, and it would just be me in this zone, in that music running through me. And it was kind of magical.
Yeah.
It was really, really pretty amazing.
What is your go-to, what are your go-to jazz albums?
Well, I was into bebop, so it was all of the classic guys. So
Yeah.
Miles Davis, John Coltrane, the new guys that were coming up, from New Orleans. So it was Wynton Marsalis and Terrence Blanchard and Donald Harrison. It was everybody, because the thing about jazz is that a lot of it, tons of it, exists in recordings, and there's so much of it that you can get an album, particularly at this time, right? You can get a recording, right? Because bebop was the 40s, and the 50s, and it progressed through the 60s. So you could get a recording, well, you could discover a recording, a new recording, almost every day, right? So it just kept coming. So you just relive these gigs, you know, and so it jumps. So like when the sun was coming up, some really funky avant-garde stuff would kick in, real heavy, like Charlie Mingus or Thelonious Monk. Then there was mellow, you know, really cool, laid back, Miles Davis.
Do you
really explosive music? Like,
yeah. Is there, so that was like part of your routine as you were drawing. How did that, so I'm led to assume you felt like it kind of helped. Was it a comforting thing while you drew, or like what?
It was an inspirational thing, because it was a spirit.
Yeah.
It was a spiritual thing. And when you look at my drawings, all those colors and all of that movement was informed by the music.
Yeah.
So when you look at all the crazy color and all of the abstract line in the work, that was totally responding to the music.
Heather Lawrence in the crowd says, "Excellent taste in music."
Thank you.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we're gonna have to put together a playlist. I'm gonna do that for next week.
Yeah. So that was part of it, just being up.
Yeah.
You know, I would get up and I'd go to bed early and get up at, you know, maybe 10 o'clock and go into my studio. And that was the way I made it through school, because it was quiet. And get up and turn the music on and start working. And it was kind of a magical moment for me. I was in it and just really connected to my subject and or reacting to the music. So I was thinking about William de Kooning and Gustav Klimt when I was working. So it wasn't just mindless, you know, there was an intention, and trying to create compositions with marks, activate the surface, and trying to paint. Well, I paraphrase it and use the word paint what I was feeling. There's this great book, this great photographer, Roy DiCaravua, and he had a brilliant book of photos called Sounds I Saw. And that was part of my space that I was working in. So I used to consider myself a jazz artist.
Yeah, what was your instrument?
The pencil.
Yeah, that makes sense.
because I was trying to paint and draw the music at the same time,
Yeah.
capture the essence, right, of my
Mhm.
subject.
Yeah.
So it's really a spiritual space for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm just seriously, because my work, like, was always about, well, in my work, I talk about transcendence, right? And moving people, right, from one place in time or consciousness to another, right? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because when you're drawing, you're moving through time. Every mark is a measure of time, right? When you are listening to music, you're moving through time, right? Because by the time you finish listening to a song, 10 minutes have passed, 5 minutes has passed, right? When you are listening to a lyric that impacts your psyche, right? Your awareness. There's a growth. There's this thing that's always going on in your conscious mind, right? So making art was about being on this journey, and it's a spiritual journey. So to go back to our colleagues' discussion about feeling, it was all about that, all about feeling. So now, let's see how this works for me.
Yeah. So you just said, let's see how this works for me. What are you hoping for right now?
Just that this thing feels like I want it to feel.
Uh-huh. If you were to try to like explain what you want it to feel like, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
what would that be?
A sense of form,
Uh-huh.
a sense of anatomy.
Yeah.
Right. I like, if I was photographing Frederick Douglass, I would have had a more dynamic point of view.
Okay.
Because the more structure I see, perspective,
Uh-huh.
the more connected I feel. Not connected,
Yeah.
the better I understand. But I'm always trying to understand this, because I'm chasing these concepts,
Mm-hmm.
right, of form. And if I think about that, I'm thinking about perspective,
Right.
right? Because this gives me a clean and clear, rational point to build. So I'm totally into construction. Totally into construction. And it was kind of cool. I was reading Norman Rockwell's book, that his big book yesterday evening, because I'm working on, because I'm doing pastel, a pastel image right now, and just looking at book for inspiration, and talked about his process. And he talked about how Hogarth was one of his teachers, and that he took Hogarth to learn construction. And for me, construction is the key, just because I went from drawing organically and then teaching and discovering through Steve Houston these concepts for developing a shape vocabulary. And that's allowed me to teach people to understand how to see. So when I'm drawing, I'm putting all of that into practice. So that objective is to bring forward those concepts, to establish that symmetry, but at the same time, I'm chasing my music again, because I went through maybe a 10-year period. Here I could have had a charcoal pencil, but I'm living with this. So I'm chasing these ideas. I'm chasing form. I'm all over the place, gee. Because, you know, it's
very jazz.
I can relate.
Right, it is, and that's why I call it jazz, because there's a level of improvisation.
Right.
But there's also structure. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's improvisation within the structure.
Exactly.
Right. And without that structure, you don't have anything, you know?
Exactly.
I mean, it's like, well, it's like, you know, kind of blue, you know? It was all improvisation. It was all structure, you know?
Right.
And,
but there's some beauty in it.
And that's kind of the root of that era of jazz, you know, is that there was a lot of freedom within that structure. And without that structure, you had no place to kind of know how free you were or not.
Right. And that, yes, exactly. And that's what it was about. It was that improvisation. So it came from knowing that piece so well that when you had the solo, you knocked it out, right? Because you understood. You really understood that music. You understood the structure.
Yeah.
Right? And now you get to reinterpret it and bring something new to it. And that was, how much time do I have?
You're the fourth drawer. You got all the time you want.
Oh, really? Okay.
When did you graduate from SVA?
Okay, I graduated in the undergrad in 81.
Okay.
Right? And then I was fortunate enough to get a scholarship for the graduate program. So I was in that first graduate program.
Oh, nice.
First MFA visual essay.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
So my classmates were Edmund Guy, Jeff Smith, and Doug Frazier, Mickey Paraskevas.
Yeah.
You know, so everybody, we had a wonderful group.
What year was that?
That was 84 to 86.
Okay. I mean, it was going to be a silly question, but I don't know if anybody like my age grew up with My Chemical Romance, obviously, but the lead singer, like Gerard Way from, he was also majored in comics and illustration at SVA, and I wondered if any of your time overlapped.
What year was he there?
Oh gosh, I'm sure he's in his early 40s now.
Oh,
All right, Tim, time to
I'm in
Google.
my early 60s. So that's a young fella.
Yeah, I just wondered if there was any crossover, because he also has his comic book, The Umbrella Academy, and I just wondered if any worlds would collide there. But
you know, there's a chance that we collided. But you know, we meet so many people on this journey. You know, I was telling John about how the first time I met his dad, I was at the first Icon, and his father was hanging out with Marshall, Bart Forbes, and I can't remember who else it was. And they were going to lunch, and I got invited to hang out. And I couldn't hang out though, because I had to go to a damn panel. Excuse my language. But it was just, you know, amazing. And being that Icon was incredible. Is still incredible. but I've been fortunate to meet a lot of people. So, you know, Mark Chiarello.
Oh, Mark's great.
Yeah, Mark is great. I actually did a program that was somewhat lightweight art academy, and there I met Pete Fiore, and that's the reason that I know George, because I met George and his Pratt crew. George's not saying anything, but I met him in his buds when they, I think it was the year that they graduated. And, you know, ironically, we all ended up getting into the comic scene. So that was one of those interesting moments.
That's cool.
But I'm real fortunate, and you know, I appreciate being a part of this conversation, guys. So thank you.
Yeah. Here's a question from Matthew. What's a good way to render the hair?
Well, it's a shape. I take like all the classic cues, right? It's a shape, and then it's a texture. And from there, it's like, what is the impression? What is the stroke? What is the way to make that mark, right? To create the impression of that hair. But first it's a shape, and then it's you're thinking about form, and you're thinking about light. And then, like I said, it's you know, it's an impression. I actually think everything is an impression. That's another one of my crazy Gilisms.
Everything's a shape. It's like
Everything is a shape. Every mark contributes to your awareness, right? What you try to, or what you select to represent, right? So that these marks are now informed, though, by perspective and knowledge of anatomy. When I was younger, it was just the pure muscle of drawing and being able to draw what you saw with some competency. But now, you know, as I said, I'm now chasing the concept. So it allows me to continuously evolve or develop these ideas and apply them. And it's strengthening my ability to understand what I see and to build my pictures. So that's my crazy story, and I'm sticking to it. So, you know, I started off falling in love with Degas and Gustav Klimt. Now, my painting heroes, Velasquez. I love many of the contemporary artists. David Hockney. I love Norman Rockwell, who doesn't. There are so many great artists, but those, Tom Feelings, Romeo Bearden.
Oh, Tom Feelings is great.
Yeah. Tom was one of my mentors. So was this gentleman, Elton Fax, who wrote books and traveled around the world and drew in foreign countries. He was he was an ambassador for the state. And he traveled and drew and did what they call chalk talks for the government. And he was pretty amazing. He graduated from, he was the first African-American to get a certificate from Syracuse. So he's a Syracuse alumni.
Definitely see how drawing is at the root of a lot of your work.
Yeah.
You
You know, when you look at my older work, it's there. When you look at my newer work, it's there. My newer stuff is really, now I'm in the hip hop inspiration now, because my newer work is about mixing up I call them my assets.
Yeah.
Right. So everything that I draw now is an asset. So if I do a really strong study of a hand or a portrait, I could use it at any point, right, in one of my images. And so the digital mashup,
yeah,
is what I call it. And I know we all are experimenting with that. So.
When I was doing digital stuff, like everything I would find became an asset like that, you know.
Exactly.
I'd walk down the street and it's like, oh, that scrap of metal, that can go something.
Exactly.
You know.
But, right. Go ahead, whoever was going to.
Bill and everybody. I let the time go a little bit longer because I was enjoying the conversation so much, listening to you talk. But I just want to let everybody know if they want to draw another minute or two, that's fine.
Well, sorry for pushing the.
Okay.
Yeah, no problem. I'm going to take a tour of the studios.
That's a gorgeous drawing, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ashley, we're stopping by.
Yeah. Nice.
The pastel hand wave.
I like how she's got like one dirty hand and one clean hand.
Nice drawing.
Hey, Bill.
Trying to save my keyboard.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
Ashley, how do you clean your hands when you?
Baby wipes. I just
wipes.
don't have any right now.
Okay. Trying to keep that keyboard clean.
Yeah.
And that's basically like
Oh, that's beautiful.
totally appreciate it.
Gil, do you remember what year annual that was? What number it was?
90, it was 81, 82.
Okay.
Is that 29? I think it was 29. And, you know, I got in a few times. I didn't chase it. There's a lot of things that I didn't do.
It can be frustrating to chase it.
Yeah.
You know, because
but the crazy phase was I wasn't getting necessarily the kind of jobs that I wanted all the time.
Yeah.
Because I had a rep. And when you're doing work, you know, I'm thankful for the work. But when you're not doing what you want to do, it's a different game.
Yeah.
It's a different ball game. I was thankful, though. You know, I was able to make it happen.
Well, it's like there's the work that you do. You're grateful for the work and the money and stuff.
Right.
And then there's the work you do that feeds your soul and
Right.
connects with your interests, you know.
Right.
And that's what you, or at least that's what I
Yeah, indeed.
try to chase.
Indeed. You know, so again, very fortunate enough. I'm fortunate enough to be able to do this for the years that I've been doing it. And sustain.
I know Chris has already left, and
Okay.
It's some people's bedtimes now.
Yeah, what time is it?
It's getting late.
Okay.
it's 8:31. So we should probably kill
Yeah,
the.
John, should we head
Yeah, you guys should.
head on to the next chapter?
Yeah.
Gil, I think everybody here, Gil, I think we could hang out with you for
Listen to Gil
40
talk.
minutes. Yeah, man.
You're like you speak like listening to mellow music.
All right, so
It's
it's
just like you're but it entertains me, and it makes me calm.
yeah.
I'm glad I'm doing that. Don't fall asleep though.
No.
The story about the young student that fell asleep, right? And pencil poked him in the eye. All right, that's, that was pretty ugly.
I fell asleep in an illustration class once.
Ooh, man.
It was Barron's class.
Ooh.
I mean, I've been pulling all-nighters, so,
Yeah, okay.
I had a good reason.
Which school was that? Was that at Pratt?
That was at the Academy of Art.
Oh, the Academy, okay. Right. When he left, he had left Pratt.
Yeah. So it was like 85, 86.
Okay, yeah.
Seems like a good year to fall asleep.
I never got to study with Barron. I met him a couple of times, but
Interesting guy.
it was that SVA Pratt thing.
Yeah, but you got to study with Robert Weaver and Marshall Erisman, so,
Yeah.
John,
You did okay.
John, I don't mean to interrupt, but have you checked out the Facebook group yet?
No.
It's really great.
There's a great
awesome.
one by AJ Kasparite.
Well, you ready to
Should we do it? I don't mean to cut it short.
No, go ahead. I'm
All right.
far better than good.
think we should do it?
Yeah. Gil, thanks so much. This is awesome. Everybody on the panel, thanks so much. Yeah.
Yo, I'm gonna have to look up some of your comments now. I'm sure I've got some of them. You did Hellraiser.
Bill, AJ just said, I heard my name.
Yeah, it's an awesome drawing. I love this Frederick Douglass.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
This is great. John, do you want to share?
Sure.
Okay.
You mean my drawing?
No,
No, I want you to do that. Because you're more equipped for that.
Okay. Everybody hold on.
I think I'm gonna have to pop out before we do this, but I really, really appreciate it tonight.
Audrey, thanks for doing it. Thank you.
So much fun. Yeah, so much fun having you.
Beautiful work, Audrey.
Have a nice night.
Good night, all.
Okay.
And John, thanks for getting these great images for me, man. I appreciate it.
Oh no, I'm just, I'm looking for something good and trying to make people feel comfortable with what they're drawing or enjoy what they're drawing.
For me, it doesn't really matter, but it's nice for this to happen because, it's a little different for some people, and it's pretty cool because everybody gets a great result. So look at that, right?
Some nice stuff. All right. Very nice.
Make the loop. That's a really nice drawing.
That's beautiful.
Yes, indeed. Hey, when I'm trying to get into Facebook to post, what's the direct route? I'm trying to figure that out.
Go to groups.
Groups. Uh-huh.
Yeah, go to groups and then go to illustration. If you're in the illustration isolation group,
Yeah.
just go to groups and post to illustration isolation.
Okay.
It's all is one word
Sure. Sure.
thing. Maybe I'm
Yes,
wrong.
it is.
Yeah, illustration isolation. It's a public group.
Mhm.
Are you in that group?
Yeah, I post, but when I go in, this is the old man, issue. When I go in and I get into the group, I get to the page, and the page that comes up on my phone is Explore.
Is what?
I see the word Explore, then I see the group. I see George right out the bat. Then I see comments, so I don't see where I could.
It's at the very top thing underneath the header.
Oh,
You see my, I don't know if you can see my screen. Oh, wait, here.
no, I'm on my phone. So does the format change on the phone?
Very top under the header.
Okay.
This is the Bill Koeb IT IT support tutorial chapter of the evening. Hey, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Awesome.
Um,
It should be
Gil, I'm going to send you a screenshot.
Okay.
So of where you post.
yeah, because Gil, we're gonna want to make sure you're on there.
Okay, cool.
These are great. A few people have posted the last pose already, which is awesome.
Yeah. Another good night.
I'm just gonna send you a message via Messenger.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
No problem.
These are great.
Really good stuff.
Yep,
Yeah.
indeed. Yes.
Awesome. Addie, Visual Arts Passage, founding student. one of the first students to go through the online program.
Wow. I like that. Nice drawing, Bill.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Very nice.
Yeah, you guys tell me to stop or speed up or slow down if you
No,
want.
it's just, we just
So check your Messenger and
Okay.
and I'll just I post on Instagram and then it goes automatically to my profile, and then I just share it from there to, illustration.
Scott Anderson with his camera from the future.
I'll send you my phone number. You can call me. We can talk about it if you want, or whatever.
This is great. Awesome, Heather.
Heather. There's Don's stuff.
The birthday boy.
Yeah.
Birthday boy. Birthday boy. Ooh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like the color in there. Another really nice one.
Way to go, Nate.
Damn, that's nice.
Matthew. Seeing a lot of our students.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's great.
Brilliant.
That's awesome.
That's my favorite one. That's really.
That's pretty awesome.
We're gonna have to start doing like a fridge award. You know, the drawing that gets put up on the fridge for the week. That's what we'll need to do. That'd be fun. You know what? We'll do that for the banner. That'll be the banner for our illustration isolation page.
Telling you, Felicity should stop now.
Yeah.
Don't get any. Don't
Don't go
learn
anywhere.
anymore. It's beautiful as it is.
Yeah.
That's
That's
awesome.
great. I also like this. That's
Nothing
the
but screw you up.
yeah.
And look at the other side with the other curly thing, and you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot going on here. There's a story happening.
Like Robert Andrew Parker
Yeah.
sensibilities.
Yeah, there's a little bit of mystery.
I love that.
This is great.
Oh man. That's cool.
Awesome.
Wow.
Everybody, thank you so much for posting this work. This is great.
Really well done.
Yeah.
I'll get my stuff up for sure.
Yeah, Gil, we're gonna start bullying you about that.
That's a great piece.
So Gil, if you want to call me, I can mute my microphone, or you can call me tomorrow or something like that.
You know what?
You know what I can?
When I get off, I'm just going to take my time and find my way.
Okay. Well, if you have any questions, I sent you my
I
note.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. I understand.
You know, if that 9-year-old killer could do it, I could figure it out.
That's not a good barometer for me.
I said it before you guys get a chance to take a shot at me.
Those are some pretty big words there, Gil.
Oh man.
My money's on the 9-year-old.
Okay.
Not a good
Hector.
Whoa, that's awesome.
Hector Casanova.
Hey, Hector, nice job. That's
He's
fine.
showing up next week. He's going to be on the panel.
All right.
Peter, longtime caller and longtime poster. Well, that's cool. That's the model from last week.
Oh, you know what? Here we go.
On the boat.
Yeah, that's great.
That's the Titanic happy ending.
Yeah. These are great. This is awesome. Great.
Nice, Bill. G. Pratt.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Great. It's fun.
Some very good drawers in here,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
except for that.
This, yeah. I was
Ugh,
gonna
what's
say.
that?
Get off my lawn.
I know. I'm becoming like the stocky version of this guy.
I almost added a speech bubble to mine too.
Timmy, I think everybody's becoming the stocky version of that.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say also, I think my mom has liked every single person's photo.
She's been busy.
Yeah. It's fun. Chuck Todd.
Ooh, nice, Bill.
Awesome.
Another nice one. And Steve.
This is great. Felicity. That's great.
That's great.
Oh, that's nice.
That's awesome. I love it.
Those are great lines too.
I have to get her on the panel. So tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
What's your process? What are
Yeah.
you working on these days?
Yeah. What? Tell us about the projects you've been working on lately.
What drives you?
Where do you find your inspiration? What brush is that?
I have to get it
Crayola number
earlier
5.
because my mom makes me go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah, staying awake is my inspiration.
Yeah, just managed to
Lines remind me of Robert Weaver's lines.
Yeah.
This one?
No,
Yeah.
Felicity's.
Oh yeah.
That's nice, Bill. Yeah.
That's
Oh,
great.
thank you. That's a cool one.
Gary's been attending since day one. It's so great. There's some people in here that have been drawing with us now for like, I mean, how long has it been? Like 3.5 months now, John? It's awesome.
Been a while.
Yeah.
This is what's happening, man. This is such a cool.
I don't think that when we had that first phone call, I don't think that you and I thought we were signing up for 4 months of 4 months of this, but it's been fun. It's great. That's great.
Troy.
That's nice.
Paul Stead.
It's great. Doug Bell,
But,
always here. He's day one attendee.
He's a good drawer.
for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Ooh, that's cool.
That's fun. Fits the character of that guy.
Wow. Wow. A lot of submissions tonight. This is great, everybody.
Everybody was waiting for us to come back.
Yeah.
That's
Ryan.
pretty cool.
That's great.
It's a visual arts passage student right there.
Okay. Got his technique on. Oh, cool.
That's great. Working on storyboards.
Here's
Awesome.
another visual arts passage student. Check out Joe's piece.
That's great. Whoa.
Yeah. Victor. Very nice.
These are awesome. Ugh, pin hat. Great. This is awesome.
Look at that.
Oh, I love that one, Bill.
Oh, thanks.
I don't know how the panelists have time to post. Thanks for posting. That's great.
I got mine up. I figured it out.
Oh, you did?
Cool.
Yeah.
We're gonna jump back and find it.
Yeah, my phone's covered in pastel, but I'm about to do it.
Don't feel bad about it. All right, don't get dizzy. Everybody look away while I fly back to the top.
My phone has always got some kind of paint on it.
Here we go. All right, Gil, did you say you just posted?
You had to hit the refresher.
It'll pop up
You
soon.
have to hit refresh.
Oh, duh. Yeah.
Over eager.
Make sure you got a recent post at the top.
It jumps down. Here we go. New activity. Awesome. Sweet, Ashley. Well, very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, this one was much better than the previous. The other one, I overworked it.
That's great.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Wow.
That's nice.
Yeah.
One day I shall pop up.
Someday. Oh, this is awesome though. Love it. These are so great. Should we call it a night?
I think we should.
Everybody, don't forget, you got homework.
Yeah, that would be real. I think it's going to be fun to be able to choose from the audience. Please, if you can, take the time to do it. It's also a great practice too. Learning how to shoot reference is super important. And everybody, Ashley, Audrey, who's already left, thank you. Bill Koeb, Gil, George Pratt, Chris Payne, who's already left, Don, Scott, Timmy, that guy, and everybody else that joined us and drew with us tonight. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm glad I got to
Thank you.
tonight. Because I know next week I won't be able to because it's my husband's birthday.
You'll be missed.
Yeah.
We'll
Oh,
be
thanks.
Next
All right.
week, next week we know we got Hector and we got.
Yeah, it's going to be a new,
Great.
some
I know
new,
it's going to be fun too with everybody's assignment. I'm kind of bummed I'm not going to be
Yeah.
live for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Everybody get to work. See you later.
All right.
Everybody, Gil, Bill, Ashley, everybody else on the panel, a few people, George, thanks for coming. This has been so much fun.
Hey, don't
Good night,
forget,
guys.
July 18th, next enrollment.
Yeah, July 18th. Go to the website now. It's going to sell out. It's sold out. Oh,
Awesome.
it sold out last semester. So
Yep.
get on it. All right.
All right,
Have a
everybody.
nice night. Be
Bye.
safe.
Good night.